Alright, after playing with the new engine and discovering that I can't get it to run quickly, and I'm going to need to deal with it more, I am down to the workspace I have, and that means I need to get this Kenmore in shape so that it can sew, and that means once it can sew, I can get it on its way to a new home. I had hoped that by loosening it up and oiling it and just letting it sit loose and oiled, that it would just come back together and stitch okay. It is not doing that. The demonstration stitches that I did to test it, the straight stitch works pretty well, but the zigzag is missing basically all of the right hand stitches, so that means that the needle moves left to right, and because this bobbin case is mounted side mount, the bobbin and hook underneath have to move left and right to match the needle, and that means that when it's supposed to move to the right, the hook is not moving correctly to the right, so it's not catching the loop under the needle on the right hand side. So we're going to start by getting the top off again up here, so I can look and make sure the linkages on top are moving correctly. So I need to get this knob out of the way again. Turn that to the off position, because this knob, we learned, is for a hem stitch, I think it's called. Anyhow, so knob out of the way. These two top screws have oil holes in them. It's one thing about these old machines, they have so many oiling locations. But now, adjust our block to narrow. I'm rotating the wheel here, and this lever is what moves back and forth to give the zigzag its motion. So now I'm going to hold this, adjust it to its very widest point. See it. The needle is moving left and right because of this lever action, and I need to figure out where it's and I have to adjust this anyway or replace the tire, so I'm going to pop the bobbin winder off again. There's a pretty bad flat on this tire, so I think I'm going to just pull it off entirely and make sure I get a new tire on there for the bobbin winder. I also found my WD-40 container because if the sewing machine oil isn't enough to loosen the parts up, the WD-40 should be. And WD-40 is not a great penetrating liquid, but much like machine oil, or much like sewing machine oil, it is relatively easy to clean out of fabric. So if you use it on a machine and get it, and it comes out of the machine and ends up on your fabric, it's not going to cause the kinds of issues that other lubricants will. So that's why I like it for sewing machines. It's not my favorite penetrating fluid for a lot of other uses, but sewing machines, it's a pretty good choice. And I'm just wiggling this. You know, I have the pin straw. Grief. Okay. Apparently my phone decided that it's a very busy morning. Alright, I'm going to take this needle out before I forget it's in there and stab myself with it by accident. Keep turning this around a bunch. Wiggle it here. Alright, now I think I spy the correct linkage from underneath. Or the correct linkage that sends the motion of the zigzag down to the bobbin case. So, I'm going to take a look at that. So under this pin screw here, there is an arm. So I think, yeah. So this slider here moves with this lever, and it's got an arm here and an arm there, and it goes to this pin with a vertical shaft on it, and that shaft rotates back and forth with this slider motion, which is what moves the needle bar left and right. So pretty sure that the shaft under this pin is what provides the motion down below for the bobbin case and hook to move back and forth. So I'm going to just tip this on its back here, and okay. This arm here is what slides the hook and the needle, or in the bobbin case, back and forth. So I'm gonna set this for maximum width on the thing, and this, yeah, this is moving back and forth. So we're gonna get WD-40 all over that for a second. All right. Soak this up with WD-40 again, and all right. Now that we got that soaking, let it go for a bit, and I will come back and probably plug it in and run it a little bit to loosen up. And then sew with it some more, see if it's still dropping stitches. And if it's still dropping stitches, then there's a clamp here on this collar. So this clamp, I believe, is the adjustment, because it's this collar, or this is a big bushing rather. So the rotational movement is provided by this shaft, so that gives us our hook moving rotationally. And this clamp on this big bushing, long bushing here, is how you adjust exactly where the bobbin case and hook are on the motion. So if the full right hand motion here isn't far enough to the right to collect for the hook to catch the loop from the needle, then I'll need to loosen this and move it and adjust this whole collar and fixture left or right to get the hook to match where the needle is, and then we'll go back over here. Alternately, I may have to, in the top, I think there's an adjustment for the total motion of this bar. That would be on top, and the linkage so the adjustment for the total motion is going to be in the linkage here, and I would super not like to have to get in there and do anything with it because I honestly don't know how to get this apart to futz with it. So with luck, it's just stuck on the bottom there a little bit and needs some coaxing and freeing up, and hopefully the WD-40 will be enough to make that happen. And if not, then this is going to be a way more entertaining project than I had initially thought. Because the thing about these machines is they're very stiff and very iron and very solid. So they either get adjusted properly basically immediately at the factory, and they work very, very well, and they power through most things and don't lose any adjustment, or you manage to get them jammed up in a certain way and you torque them hard enough that everything kind of bends and goes out of adjustment at once, and then you have to painstakingly check and reassemble everything basically from start as if it's a new assembly at the factory. And honestly, I would rather not do that ever. You know, but we'll see. Like I said, with luck, it's just a bunch of WD-40 on the bottom that is needed, and I'm gonna actually pull the foot off of here and get the plate here off and see if there's anything on the top that I can make sure there's some WD-40 in it. Huh. I don't know what that noise was when I leaned on the table. That's always a little unsettling. Come on. If I pull this rag out flat, set the machine on it, it should run without touching. since I've got the machine out and I've got the WD-40 on it, I'm just gonna plug it in and run it for a bit. I don't know what to do about my lighting location. Well, I do know what to do. I can slide this back like that. And that moves it just a little bit. You know what? I'm gonna reset the camera and hopefully get it to be able to see some of the movement while it runs and I'm testing this or trying to get it to loosen up. So we'll try moving this.